The fate of Prigozhin may, of course, never be known, and that may be intentional. Now, Prigozhin is supposed to have been on the plane. 8 bodies have been identified, and 2 have not. 2 don't seem to be found. One of those missing is Prigozhin, and the other one seems to be Dmitry Utkin. Dmitry Utkin is the person who founded the Wagner brigade, and Prigozhin is the person who paid for it. And both of them are significant. Utkin is the clear Nazi, Prigozhin is the clear poodle. And Prigozhin is the person who led the mutiny against Putin exactly 2 months ago. So I think the coincidence is not that it's that today is Ukraine's Independence Day with blown out tanks all the way down the main street in Kyiv, but that yesterday was the 2-month anniversary of the attempt to unseat Putin. And whether Prigozhin claimed that this was directed against Gerasimov and Shoigu doesn't really matter. It was Putin who felt the pinch, and Putin who described it as treachery. And Putin is not somebody likely to compromise on revenge. We've seen this so often in the past. Putin likes his revenge served cold, and often in a cup of tea laced with radioactive poison. But it's a new this is a new game, and he's clearly developed new skills, fiddling with engines or sending missiles into planes where he knows one of the passengers is likely to be one of his intended victims. So what happened? What did the other 8 people do? Collateral damage, or they were part of Wagner and deserved to die as well, as far as Putin is concerned? I don't know. I don't think there will be many tears shed for them. At the moment, they are an anonymous group who have passed into another world. And the message, which is very clear to those people in the grey zone who are saying, if Prigozhin has died, we will march again on Moscow, Putin is saying, just you dare. Just you dare, because that fate waits for you too. And you don't know when I'm coming. And it's quite a strong message. That means that when Putin responded to the mutiny 2 months ago and looked as if he was cutting a deal with Prigozhin and the Wagner Brigade, he looked weak. Now, he's sending a message across Russia that he is strong. He doesn't need to claim responsibility. Everybody assumes he has done it. So, what is going to happen now? It means that the power of Wagner will be dismantled. The money that Wagner makes in the various places around Africa, for example, will be taken in by the state. And the people who are fighting for Wagner will become state players. And the work that Wagner has done to undermine the EU, to undermine the UN in Africa, will continue to be done, but in the name of the Russian state directly. Because how can there's no need to be undercover anymore. Putin's advisors will probably be telling him there's no need for all this subterfuge. Everybody knows you're a devil. Why not just get on with it? Just be the devil that you have learnt to be. Be the devil you have become. And these well-trained fighters, they can be yours. They're already under your implicit control. Now make it explicit. Of course, there is always the danger that they might rebel and might march against the Kremlin, in which case Putin will have problems. But how is he going to secure his victory here in this particular case? He's going to secure it simply by uncertainty. So be in no doubt, if the FSB was responsible for shooting down that plane, the FSB was also responsible for very speedily going through the wreckage and finding the bodies. And if there are 2 bodies it really does not want anyone to find, that will be Prigozhin and Utkin. Because if they are found and if they are identified, that place, or the place where they are finally put to rest, becomes a memorial, a shrine to Wagner. They cannot allow that. The bodies will never be discovered. The bodies will be burnt or buried in some unmarked grave. There will be no memorial to Prigozhin. There might be some strange little service at some point in the future, but it will not be with a body, and it will not be with some sort of monumental effigy over his tomb. There will be no place for the Wagner Brigade to venerate. And Putin has made that very clear, and I'm sure that was one of his requirements when he talked to the FSB about the possible ways of dumping Prigozhin in a final form. No, because he could possibly go to a German hospital and recover. We've already seen how that works with Navalny. Poison umbrella, well, that's old hat. What else is there? A linger. I'm sure he would have wanted a lingering death if there was a possibility. But the idea of taking someone out in the sky and then not being out, oh, sorry, can't find his body. I think the FSB are only too aware of where that body is, and it's tucked away somewhere in their grand crypt, and we will never see it. Why should we? We're not particularly bothered about the fate of Prigozhin or Utkin. They were grotesque individuals. Prigozhin has gone the way of so many hamburgers or fried dogs, hot dogs. He's just been incinerated. Sorry.